Hey guys, it's Ben the Coin Geek at Old Pueblo Coin, and today I have an open box for you with a little bit of, well, just a couple different varieties, but mostly it's going to be some gold stuff. For those of you who don't know if any of these coins are available for sale, they'll be in the show notes, in the links down below the video. We're going to start with a customer's coin, which is actually much more scarce than it looks, this 1809 dime with a mintage of a little bit over 50,000 pieces. They start out in the gray sheet at about $600 in good. And of course you can see this is a little bit less than good. It is one thin dime, as they say. This one AG about good condition. Details, rim damage. And of course the rim damage they're referring to is that little nick up there. Take it or leave it. It is what it is. It's there. It is a pretty neat coin overall for someone who's doing a typeset. Or if you're trying to get all of these things, collecting early dimes is actually a very, very difficult proposition. And so it is not for the faint of heart because some of the issues are stinking tough to get. Now we're going to move on to a coin that's technically not rare, but really cool in the case of numismatic history. You've got this 1861. $2.50 gold piece, and you have two different types on this coin. Actually, 1861 is a transition year. There's lots of transitions in America in 1861, one of which was the redesign of the $2.50 gold piece. Now all of the gold coins got redesigned, and one of the things that you'll note if you've seen my video that I did a few months ago on California, the earlier gold coins from Charlotte and Dahlonega, you'll see that you have what I call really chunky lettering. So all of the lettering is really kind of fat and chunky. Same 2.5D, the United States, all of that. And then these are the more refined. Well, 1861 was the year where they switched over. And so this is considered the second type, the type 2 after the transition. And this 1861 they called an MS62. Overall, it has really nice eye appeal to it. It looks like it could be maybe a higher grade than that, but I think one of the things when you look at surface quality, well, you have these lines that you're seeing coming from her chin and her nose are actually like a clash die. You see something coming up from above her forehead that's all clash die from the other side. That I think is the eagle's claws right there above her forehead. But there's actually, in the field in front of her chin, there are actually a few really fine lines that I think that they're using here to what some people might call net grading. At a certain angle, you see the white lines kind of pop up. This to me is, I think, traditionally how I've considered things to be graded. You take in the surface quality and you call it an MS62, even though it looks like it could be a 3 or 4. Versus when they say something like cleaned or hairlines. You know, to me, cleaning is something much more harsh. Hairlines much more harsh. You know, when you have a few small cabinet friction lines or anything along those lines, or just some small, really fine lines, usually that can affect the overall quality of the coin and the grade of the coin. And I think if I didn't mention that coin trades for about $700 or so. All right, next up we've got big time, and by big time I mean we got little time. We've got the smalls out here. We've got the California fractional gold pieces, and this is fun stuff. This is stuff that we don't see frequently. It is super hard to grade, super hard to get them in these holders. I'm just so impressed. I just think of how careful NGC and PCGS have to be when they certify these guys. There is so much strange and odd things about these coins versus you know, the coins you normally see. Of course, they're private issue, first of all. They were from the California Gold Rush. And one of the things, if you look at this coin and it looks like there's actually a circular lines that go all the way around the coin, that is from the actual milling of the planchet, the creation of the planchet, where they tried to make it look nicer and So you see that on both sides actually. Now this coin actually is very contact free, $1/4, 1871. And we're going to take a minute to take a look at these and talk a little bit more about them. So this is, they call this an MS66. So let's walk through what you're going to see on these. This 1871 Octag Liberty G25C. I'll tell you what that means. BG714. This BG714, that's the numbering system that they used currently, or they have for a while, I should say. But when I have books from the 19 whatever, that, you know, they'll have a different numbering system, but I'll talk about that in a minute. MS66 is the grade. But you'll see here, this I want to talk about real quick. We'll talk about the different types that they have, and I want to show you a couple books that I have. I actually have 2 different books. Neither of them actually use the current numbering system. California Fractional Gold book. This one's by Doring, and this is the California Gold book by Kenneth Lee. And we'll look inside of those in just a minute, but what I want to tell you about is the different types. If you want to put together a typeset of California Fractional Gold, it is going to take you a few different things here, because you're going to have the different denominations. You'll have, they come in a quarter, 25 cent, right? And they come in the half. And then they come in the dollar size, and then you can collect them. They all come in either a round or the octagonal. How many sides does a stop sign have? I don't know. I should have probably just abbreviated that with either an R or an O. And then they also come in the either Indian or the Liberty, right? So you can do the round with the Indian, the round with the Liberty, the octagonal with the Indian, and the octagonal with the Liberty, right? So there's 4 different coins for the quarter ounce, and then the same thing is true on these others. You got 4 different coins on the half, and the 4 different coins on the $1. So if you want to do a typeset, it looks like that's 12 coins, but I'm not going to do math. All right. So what's cool about these is if you take a look at them, I'm going to look in one of these books really quick, just in the 1875. Here I am at the $1/4 octagonal type. They go through these by year, and what you'll see is it's really easy to notice some of the differences on the coins, because, for example, you know, here's this smaller face that's leaning way forward. Here's a bigger face, it's kind of facing upward. This bigger face is kind of centered. But then if you get into it, they start talking about the dies. You're really collecting the different die states on these things. And so they talk about where the point of the neck touches the first star, and they'll talk about that. If you just compare, if you looked at these 2 right away, you might not notice the difference on these 2 coins, but that first sentence tells you, look at the star, look at that. So there are a lot of different things. They count berries, star position, how the headdress lines up with the stars. So there are lots and lots of details that go into these, and these books are really pretty cool just to flip through and see, you know, the different denominations and sizes and whatnot. It's a very tough area to collect specifically, and to collect all of the different types. Moving on, let's look at a couple more of these guys, because I got a couple more to show you. I had a little group of them, and I got the ones that I thought were nicest certified. This is an 1875, and this is something that has tremendous eye appeal. This is the type of thing that I will be looking for, I think, more of a premium for than just, you know, your standard coin based on the grade, and that is, all these coins have what we call metal alignment instead of coin alignment here as I turn it around. This one just has this really cool toning to it, and I'm using a higher power loop here, so I'm having a hard time getting it just right, but let me just, if I can just get the color there a little bit. The color is really neat on this coin. I like it when gold changes color. It's something that you don't see as frequently. This is a $0.25, and it is the Indian style from 1875, and NGC called this 64 PL. So we got the Octagonal Indian 25-cent piece. And I didn't tell you, I think the value on this, the marketplace on this coin appears to be on the MS66, somewhere in the neighborhood of, let me see, $600 on up, maybe. Something like that. It's harder to get in that high of a mint state. This guy here, you know, it looks like they trade in maybe the $500 to $600 range in this grade, more or less. You know, I made asks, you know, more of a $600 to $700 range, just because it has some eye appeal that you're not going to see on most of them. And finally, last but not least, see, here we go again. This is, you'll see the fun of these, because here you have the Indian, and you've got a different year here, this 1872 over 71, and we'll look closer at that in a second. And also, the mirror field is really strong on this coin, and I'm so used to turning them that way that I still did it wrong. And this is the round instead of the octagonal, also the $0.25, and that proof-like finish. Pretty neat piece. Overall, they called this a 64 proof-like as well. I'm going to get a closer look at that date. So when they re-engrave the dies on these, they just, because things are so stinking small, I mean, a lot of these dates are just wiggity wiggity whack. So this is the 72 over 1, but the 2 is nearly obliterated on that thing. You know, it kind of melds into the rim a little bit. But really lovely piece. This guy also, this is BG870. This guy probably also trades in the $500 range, give or take, because of the proof-like. They don't really show proof-like listings anywhere that I've found. But I kind of went off some auction records to figure out approximate ballparks. You know, and a little bit this is still, because these are so scarce, you know, some of it is just kind of what the buyer and seller want to agree on within reason. You know, I mean, it's not like you can take a coin that's, you know, kind of in the same certain ballpark and say, I want 20 grand for this thing. No one will buy it, right? But if someone's been hunting for these and they know that they're harder to get in nicer grade or proof-like, they might be willing to pay that extra 50 or $100 on it. In one final note on this, and I talk about this every once in a blue moon, there are still pretty neat pieces out there that have not been certified, right? So I know we all pick on NGC and PCGS a little bit because they've got, we talk about, well, they only have to grade new coins because there's no old coins left. But, you know, occasionally you still find kind of cherry coins that are out there in collections that are raw. So there you go, folks. Leave your comments down in the box below. Thanks for watching. I'm Ben, the Coin Geek. You can subscribe by clicking on the button in the corner and watch more videos on the right side of the screen. Thanks.